welcome to Teen Talk Live. My name is Jasmine Semien, and I am so excited to be gathered here today with our three special guests, all the way from Hollywood. Let's give them a round of applause. So we have actress Taja V. Simpson, director Michael McGowan, and fashion set designer Kenny Henry. Let's give them a round of applause. Now, what most people do not know about you all is all of you are originally from here. Taja graduated from LaGrange High School and McNeese State University. Michael and Kenny both graduated from Washington Marion High School and McNeese State University, and all moved on to Hollywood. So just a little rundown of how this is going to go. Students submitted over 200 questions, and we pulled the most common themes for our talk today. Some of these questions are for one of you individually, and then there are general questions for all three of you. I'll be starting with the individual questions, and then we'll move on to the group, but feel free to chime in at any time you feel you can contribute.
Got it.
So let's get started.
All right.
Okay, so ladies first. I'm going to take the next few minutes and ask you a few questions submitted by our students, Taja. So did you have any opportunities to act when you were growing up, or did you even want to act when you were younger?
So interesting enough, no, I did not have the opportunities that you guys are fortunate to have growing up. There was nothing really here to cultivate that skill set. However, when I was, gosh, my mom says 2, I remember being maybe like 5 or 6 or something. I would watch movies, watch TV shows, and I would learn all the lines. Unbeknownst to me, that's something that, you know, I pick up very easily. I didn't know that was like an acting trait or an acting thing. I would learn all the lines and then act out the whole scene. And then as I got older, my cousins and I, we would do what's called play pretend. And our favorite movie at the time was Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. I don't know if you guys know that movie, The Last Dragon. Like, show enough, who's the master? Show enough. And so we would act out the entire thing, but in the summer we would watch the movie every single day. And that's how I initially got started until I graduated and moved to LA.
So since you started practicing acting when you were younger, what made you study mass comm at McNeese?
Interesting. So initially, I wanted to be an attorney. My entire life, I wanted to be an attorney. I knew that's what I was going to do. I started at McNeese, but sorry, let me just drop this in. You know, I went to LaGrange. Make sure that that's on the tape for the show. Yay! And when I graduated LaGrange, I graduated a year early at 16. So my parents, okay, thank you. Okay. She's smart. Okay, she's smart. All right. So. My parents allowed me to graduate a year early, and by doing so, I had to stay at home the first year and attend McNeese. So I did that for the first semester, and the second semester I was able to move in on campus. But my goal was to major in political science. So I transferred to the University of New Orleans, got into poli-sci, and it was super analytical and super boring for me and my personality, which is a little exuberant. So I had to move back home. I was like, wow, this is not at all what I thought it was gonna be. I don't know. In hindsight, what I learned from that is it's never too late to change your mind and pursue something else. So I literally got the curriculum book from McNeese State, and we sat there in my parents' room trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Mass communication was the only thing that really spoke to me. I went to McNeese, I sat with the Dean of Communications, and I told him my story. He was like, well, come check it out. Fell in love, and that's when I realized this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I started, I interned for KPLC and Fox affiliates here in Lake Charles, and that's how I got into mass comm. And then when I moved to Houston, I just started taking an acting class.
Wow.
And from that, I excelled and won all these different awards. And that's when I was like, oh, so the thing I was doing as a kid is what I was supposed to be doing the whole time.
Yeah.
But I had a journey to get there. So now I really know that my passion is also my purpose.
Wow.
Amen.
Awesome. Wow. So, of course, we can see you on TV today doing shows like BET's The Oval, but much of your focus today has shifted to directing, correct?
Well, actually, I've been directing along the way. So what most people don't know is that I started in my church at West Angeles Church of God in Christ in LA, and I was the director of the drama ministry, which is delivering righteous, anointed ministry through arts. I started with that, and because I became the president very fast, I ended up directing, because someone had to put the plays together.
Yes.
And so for about 12 years, I directed stage plays, until Michael McGowan came along, and he started, he wanted to do a music video with a local artist, Drew. And he had a song called On My Grind, and he was like, Taja, I want you to direct it. I know you've been wanting to direct film and getting to other things, so I'm gonna give you your shot to do your first music video. And I'd like to think that that music video is wonderful.
It's the best video out there. It's really good. You can find it on YouTube.
So now that I've had a little bit of success as an actor, it allows me the opportunity to move forward and do more directing. So that's where the first feature that Michael and I are going to be working on that I'm going to direct is called The Show, and or The Show Must Go On. I've shortened it to The Show, and that's something that we're going to be looking to develop. So right here in Lake Charles in 2020.
Awesome. Cool. That's great how y'all
We'll be calling you guys for castings. You guys want about the casting notification? Okay.
Here?
Got you. You gotta know how to step. Anybody know how to step? Start practicing.
Yep.
Start practicing.
Wow. That's awesome how y'all bringing it back to like y'all roots and stuff. That's great. So in that, what sacrifices have you made to be where you are today?
Here's the thing about sacrifice. It's subjective. What I may feel like is a sacrifice may not be what someone else feels like is a sacrifice. But in anything that you want to do, sacrifice will have to be made. So as a student, or as when I first graduated, it's like you have to sacrifice going to parties and hanging out with friends because you need to work on your craft. You have to sacrifice, maybe, for me, I moved away. I went from LA to LA, so my sacrifice was family. I didn't get a chance to always be home for the holidays. I didn't get a chance to be home for Christmases. I didn't get a chance to really see my niece grow up every single day. I lost all of that. FaceTime and all of these, different apps are great, but it's nothing like that physical touch of someone and being able to hug your mom and hug your dad on a very regular basis. So for me, that was the big sacrifice coming from Louisiana and Lake Charles specifically, is family is what we're about here. That's one thing that I missed. However, now I'm able to come back as much as I can, see my parents as much as I can. So it took the sacrifice for me to get to where I wanted to be in life so that the rest of my life will be exactly how I created it to be.
So would y'all say y'all sacrifices would be the same as hers, or?
No.
No?
No, I would say that, like she said, everybody's sacrifice is different. It's similar, though, because like we are about family here,
Yeah.
so I do miss my family, but I try to stay in touch with a lot of people on Facebook and try to stay in touch with them that way. So, but it's similar sacrifice, yeah.
Okay.
I think for me, mine was, of course, to echo them with the family, but also, I love those stories, like of struggle to triumph. I love the sacrifice. Oh, they slept in their car, or they were homeless, they were college.
I definitely slept in my car.
Yeah, I love those stories. However, I don't love that life for me. So I was like, I don't want to be a struggling artist like that.
Yes.
So that was the reason why I decided to get a degree first, because I like comfort, I like nice things. And so you just have to be in tune who you are. So I knew with that, it's going to take me a little longer, and I'm going to have to go a little different, because I'm not willing to do what these people are doing, which is great, but I'm not willing to do that. Like, I want to have a nice place to live, a place that's safe, those kind of things. So for me, it took a little longer to get in some doors, but it was, but once God opens those doors,
Yes.
He opens those doors.
Of
You know what I
course.
mean? So
Always.
that's why I love what Taja said. It's subjective, because it really is, but it all matters as long as you're walking into your purpose. It's
Right.
all for the right reason. So yeah.
That's some good stuff, y'all. So, what challenges have you faced as a woman and a woman of color in this industry?
I receive the most challenges when I'm directing, for sure. One of the first ones, we were working on the On My Grind music video, and interesting enough, people, I guess, didn't really know that I was a director. They didn't do their research to know who I was.
That was funny.
And that was funny, right? And I would have, this one guy was like, oh, can you hold this over there so I can see the shot? I'm sorry, can you hold that
Yeah,
over
I
there
kept pulling
so I
them to
can
the
see the
side
shot?
saying,
You know what I
she's
mean?
the director.
Honestly.
Period. Yes, amen. Period. Exactly. So when I'm directing, my personality shifts a bit, because now you're in control. Now you're the captain of the ship. Now you have to walk in a different purpose, if you will. But you have to be confident in your skill set, because the confidence in you will exude, and everyone will be like, oh, okay, that's what she wants. Great. I always set expectations for my crew and my production team. I let them know that I like to do everything in decency and in order with respect. So with that being said, I set that as the tone. I treat everyone the same. There's no nepotism or favoritism that goes on, but challenges would be a level of respect, or disrespect would come in, because I am a woman and then I'm much younger than them. Typically, someone that looks like me on a film set, you're in makeup, you're in wardrobe, you're in a totally different, part of the production. However, they had to really quickly adjust because I don't really particularly play that. I don't
don't play
feel any
games.
disrespect of any kind to anyone, especially to me. The thing about production is there's always someone else who wants your job. So if you don't do it at your best level, at the highest expectancy, next.
All right. So speaking of directing, I have a few questions for Michael. So what first sparked your interest in directing?
That's a good question. Well, I was on a casting. I was working for a casting director, and they had all these parts that they wanted to cast. And I'm looking at all these parts, and I'm like, well, why does this person have to play this part? And why does this person have to play this part? Why can't these people play this part? Or why can't these people play this part? And they was like, you know what? If you want to do a movie like that, then go make a movie. And I was like, oh, you know what? I think I'll do that. So I decided to make my own movies because I wanted to make content that I believed in, and I wanted to make stories that, I had written and directed.
Wow. So how do you find the inspiration for a script?
For a script. Well, first thing you have to do is you have to create a world. I create a world in my mind. Like I see something on TV, and the first thing I tell people when you want to write something that don't try to write something that someone else knows or something that you see. Write something that you know. So I'll see something that I know something about, and I create this world in my mind, and I create these characters, and I give them backstories, where they're from, how tall they are, what they look like, what do they have a family, are they single, all of these things. And just like with a person, they'll start to tell you the story. I don't have to make the story up. They'll tell me, hey, I would do this or I would do that. And I let those things go until one day I'm in the mirror brushing my teeth, and then I'm like, oh, that's it. I got it. And then I'll start putting the script together. And I'm the type of writer where I write the story from beginning to end. I don't go in and edit a whole lot of stuff. I write and let it all come out of me. And then I'll look at what I have, and I'll usually send it to Taja and be like, hey, you like this? And she'll usually call me back and say, yeah, I like that one. Let's go with this one, or let's go with that. So that's how I usually put my stories together.
Wow, that's awesome. I know that you wrote and directed the movie How to Love a Geek.
Yes, here in Lake Charles.
What was it like bringing it to Lake Charles?
Oh man, that was actually a really great process. I mean, Lake Charles to me is one of the best places in the world. I've been a lot of places. I've been all over the country, all over the world, and when my parents would always ask me, why do you bring so many people home with you when you come home? I'm like, because I want them to see this great place that I came from, and when I brought the movie here, a lot of people told me that Lake Charles wasn't going to respond the way, I wanted them to respond. And then we had a casting call, and the line for the casting call was around the building. I mean, so many people showed up for us. The mayor showed up for us. KPOC showed up for us. Fox showed up for us. American Press showed up for us. Everybody showed up. So it just made me see, like, hey, we can do more stuff like this here.
So speaking of that, like coming from Lake Charles and bringing all the people here, what keeps you going in a 24/7, 365 industry?
Oh man, in LA, those bills, they will keep you going.
Cost of living.
Yeah, cost of living, it'll keep you going. But for me, outside of that, it's just being passionate about something. I like to see a story come to life. Take something that was an ideal in my mind, and then 6 months, a year later, seeing it up on the screen and knowing that I had to bring so many people and so many things together. When she's talking about directing, one of the things you can't control the sun. You can't control the weather. You can't control people getting sick. You can't control so many things. I can be passionate on day one. You start a film, right? So on day one, everybody come in, yeah, let's get this. On day 10, trust me, people want to go home. You got people that are sick. You got all these things. So bringing those things, together and keeping them, on pace, I just like that feeling of putting something together and making it happen.
Awesome. Because I actually want to be a director, and
I know. We're gonna make sure that happens.
Oh, thanks.
I love how she put that out there too. That's good.
Yes.
That's good.
Thank you. Okay, so do you see an opportunity to bring more productions in the Lake area?
Totally. That's part of the reason, why we're here, is to make that happen. Louisiana offers a lot of tax credits that have not been really utilized by the citizens in Louisiana. Give you an example. If I shoot a film that's $300,000 in LA, I shoot it $300,000, money gone. That's it. If I take that same money and I bring it here to Lake Charles and I shoot that movie here, the state gives me 40% of that money back. So why wouldn't I do all my movies here, right? But what we have to do is, it has to be a community effort. You know, we got to bring all of these things together. So we need training. We need to train you guys in directing, train you guys in acting, train you guys in script writing, lighting, all of these different things behind the scenes, so that when we bring these projects like Plantation Way and The Show Must Go On, we have a workforce that we can use. Because if we don't have that workforce set up, what happens is we have to bring people in from LA, and then we pay those people, and then when they leave, the money that we paid them goes back to LA. It doesn't go into the local businesses here. It doesn't go into growing our economy. So we have to bring those things and build the infrastructure. So once we build that infrastructure, then we can bring a studio. So should I say it now? Say it now? I said it last night. Okay, so we met with the mayor, we met with the school board, and we want to bring a training program here for you guys to teach you all these things. But then we are also bringing a studio called Simpson and McGowan Studios, and we're going to bring it here to the city, and we're going to produce a lot of films here. So thank you. So next year, hopefully, we'll start our first production here, and maybe a lot of you guys can intern and shadow people, and hopefully we can continue that process. Because I want you guys to realize that I waited, I really did. I waited until, so many people told me that I couldn't do it. So many people told me, like, you're going to go to Hollywood and get caught up in all of these other things. My parents were scared for me to go there, like any normal parent would be. People say there's no money in it, and all of these things. And I told myself for so long that I couldn't do it. So one day I was walking down the halls of McNeese, and I don't know if you know Charles McNeely. He was actually just given an award or something, or recognition for his 25 years of service at McNeese. And he was doing an improv class, and the door was open. And I was peeking in the class. I was like, what's going on here? It's like, we're doing an improv class. Come on in. So I went in, and I got bit by the acting bug at first. But unlike Taja, I quickly saw that I didn't really want to be in front of the camera. I wanted to be behind the camera, and I wanted to be the one telling the stories. So I left, and I went to LA. But at that point in time, I was already well into college. With you guys, technology has made it available to you to where you have cell phones that shoot in 4K. You have editing software that used to cost us thousands of dollars that you can get for $200. You can start today making movies. And I would suggest that you start today. Get with one of your friends and start making movies. I was on working at Paramount. I'll make this real quick. I was working at Paramount, and Robert Evans, rest in peace, he brought me into the office and said, hey, Michael, what are you trying to do here? And I was like, I want to make movies. He said, no, you want to make movies that make money. But if you want to make movies, then you can make a movie today. Like, we can close these doors right now, and we can make a movie about getting outside. Now, that movie might not make a lot of money, but we made a movie. So get with your friends, come up with ideas, come up with concepts, and then go make a movie. And what you'll see is you have problems on that set. You'll learn things, and then the next movie you'll make, it'll be better than the last. And then the next movie you'll make will be better than that movie. And then if you keep doing that, you'll make something that's great, so.
And to piggyback on that, and that's with anything that you guys want to do, right? But one great thing about bringing Simpson and McGowan Studios here is you will have the exposure. Right. That's one thing that we didn't have. We weren't exposed to all these different variables and what to do. So yes, we started a little bit later in life because we had to go to LA to get the exposure of the film industry and find out what to do and do all of this trial and error. However, now, like you said, with technology, you can do everything right now. So bringing that exposure here is not only going to help you guys, but it's going to help develop your skill set and ours for economic growth right here in the city of Lake Charles.
We can start now, y'all. So just like they saying, we got to start.
Like today.
Okay, Kenny, I didn't forget about you. I have a few questions for you.
I'm enjoying it.
All right, so it's very rare to hear of African-American men from Deep South communities like Lake Charles working in the fashion industry. What sparked that interest for you?
Okay, I'm gonna just share that quickly, but before I need to jump back here. First of all, Mike did not I've been on mic for a long time. He started way earlier than that story he gave you guys. He was in my grandmother's house at like 12, 13 years old with my brother with video cameras making skits of carpenters and tearing up the back of the house. I was so upset because I come in, I'm the older brother, and the house is a mess. They leave their mess, but they were making movies then, like all kind of movies. So he's been wanting to be behind the camera.
Well, I didn't know that I wanted.
Long time. and this was often. Let me tell you, this wasn't like, this was often. So anyway, I wanted to share that. But yes. Okay. So what got me? For me, honestly, you know, I feel like I share this story a lot with people. I remember I've always just had, and I don't know, maybe, you know, sometimes there's things that you're exposed to in life that you don't realize cognitively. It's affecting you in your subconscious, and then it starts to, at some point, come out to surface, right?
Yeah.
For me, I remember, my mom is sitting right there on the front row, love her to death. But I remember at third grade, I remember that was when it hit me, because she was always, for school, getting us up, come on, get dressed, get your clothes, and getting our clothes together. And I remember third grade, I was like, man, I hate what she's picking out for me. And I was like, And now my brother didn't care. And I know he's watching this, and he knows I'm telling the truth. He just grabbed a shirt, jeans, whatever. And I'm like, I'm not wearing that. So what I started doing, I started getting up early, extra early, getting my clothes out, everything. I would lay it on the bed, the pants, the shirt, so she could come in there, because she was a tornado in the morning. So she'd come in there so she could see, and then she come in, oh, that's what you're wearing? I was like, yeah, okay, good. And she moved. And from that moment on, I made sure that, because I cared about how I looked. And I don't know if they still do this, but since fourth grade, they would always do best dressed every year.
Yeah.
All the schools I went to, especially Riverside, Molo, Washington, I won every single year from fourth grade on up to my senior year. And I have yearbooks to prove it.
That is
you know? But I just always cared. And so with that, I always cared not just about me, I cared about how my friends looked, you know? And honestly, I was that guy. I don't care how pretty a girl was. If she wasn't dressed nice, she didn't have style, you couldn't roll with me. Like, because I do not want a girl that I look better than. I'm just being honest. So that was always a big deal. So I always cared about fashion. And like Taja, a lot of people don't know, I actually really wanted to be an attorney. That was my dream. My two dreams in life was to be an attorney and a fashion designer. And I wanted to be one of the biggest. I wanted to be the first African-American big fashion designer. And I wanted to be an amazing attorney. And I actually got accepted to Southern Law School, but made the decision to go to LA. The decision that made no sense, that everybody was against, and I had no plan, and I just ended up, but my spirit, I felt it. And as soon as I got there and got in there, I realized I was supposed to be there, because I just started excelling majorly. So all those natural gifts, I didn't have the trained gifts, I started getting trained there, but all those natural gifts kept me above everyone, and I really noticed my calling there. So yeah.
Look at you now.
Thank you.
And I think it's awesome how y'all all kind of like knew kind of what you wanted to do, but and it kind of like showed as you grew up, acting, directing, you know, fashion. So that's
exactly.
Cool.
And I will tell you, like the story they're saying, which is very important, what we want to make sure you guys, this is one of the things we want to make sure you're getting. When I started McNeese, I actually went to USL first in Lafayette, and I started in EMT. Because I thought, you know, well, let me just try that. There's no good law school here. I'm not ready to do law. Let me get undergrad. Like, I come back to, I left there, came to McNeese, and in McNeese they didn't have it. So I did radiology, believe it or not. And I did that for a year and realized I was not passionate about that, because I have a fraternity brother, one of the amazing men, so I hope we have some future amazing men of Kappa Alpha Psi, the best fraternity in the world.
Yes.
But anyway, he was very in love with radiology. And I remember we would go party, because we did in college, we would go party on weekends, and we would study. He and I would say, we're going to study, and we'll catch up with you guys later for the party tonight. We would study for hours, and he never wanted to stop. And I remember looking at that one day, and I remember envying that, and I said, I want to be in love with I'm not in love with this like that. And if I fast forward, and I had to choose one of these people to be my radiologist, I wouldn't want me. You know what I mean? I would want him, the guy who's passionate about it, in love, and because I'm a very honest and real person with myself, and I said, I gotta find that. And honestly, it was an accident how I found mass communication, because a friend asked me to do a project with him and just get on front of the camera and read, right, to be a host anchor thing. And at that moment, all the people that were there, like, oh my God, dude, like, you're so good at this. I'm like, all right. And then I realized liking that feeling. And then I took a class, like Taja, I took one class, one-on-one, just to see. From that one class, I saw all the possibilities, and there were so many things involved of what I liked and what I was good at. And as soon as I went in, I excelled in that.
Yeah.
Right? So I did that, and then I knew fashion had to come. So
That's awesome. That is awesome. So, y'all can clap. Okay, I have a last question, then we'll move on to the group. So tell us about your involvement in fighting human trafficking and what got you involved in this cause. Also, what new platform have you launched to inspire more good in the world?
Thank you. Yes. So first of all, are you aware of human trafficking? Okay, that's music to my ears. I'm serious. That's because we have a major problem in our country. Now, how did I get involved? One of the things that when I went to LA and I started working in the fashion industry, and I was doing really good. I was making some really good money. Didn't know what to do with that money. To be honest with you, I wish I could rewind time. Anyway, I started being in all these big events, and I'm around all these celebrities, and I'm getting a chance to see some really cool things, be a part of some really cool things, and I was really fascinated by it. I was inspired by it. But there was a void. And something about me that I grow up, and from my family, I will say, is I know where that comes from. I always want to help people, and I always want to see people like rise up.
Same.
And it's something about people that are struggling but trying that just get, and so I realized I wasn't happy. So I I went to work in the foster industry, completely different world.
Yeah.
And at first I was like lost. Like I was happy, I was hurt for all these kids that didn't have families, and they're in these homes. But when I got there, I started doing so well, and I started being promoted so quickly, and I fell in love with it. And then I realized, wait a minute, I can still bring all my skill sets here. So I would put on events. We would do proms for them. I created proms within the foster care, getting gowns made, designs bought, things like this, for teaching the boys how to treat girls. I mean, and it was just amazing, and they became family. My heart just really continued to move in that direction. And then I learned about this thing. We didn't know it was called human trafficking. We knew that girls were running away, girls were being kidnapped from, guys that would talk to them on social media, things like that, get them out, and then we wouldn't see them again. And then sometime we were blessed to get some girls back, and then they tell us what happened. Well, now fast forward, everybody's calling that human trafficking now. So now we know what it is, and so my heart, I had to get into that industry.
Gotcha.
And it's not just girls, it's boys too. In LA, they're going after anyone that they can get to manipulate. And so for me, that's going to be a lifelong battle. And I actually have a 9-year-old daughter now, so I'm even more passionate about it.
Yeah.
And I need you guys too. And I talk to parents, I go to schools, I go to churches. I'm always preaching this and teaching, looking for the red flags and things of that nature. And there's something, for some reason, I don't know why African American girls are targeted more, and that's all over the United States. So we really have to talk about that in our communities and bring light to that. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Oh yes, and the platform. Thank you.
Oh,
This is
okay,
why I love Taja. She's over here directing up here. Thank you.
Always.
But yeah, so the platform is King Connector is what I'm super excited about, because that's my YouTube channel, and that's the King Connector with the K Connector. What I'm excited for that for, because this is a place I can bring all my worlds together. Where I'm interviewing people, so I'm using my hosting skills, where I'm highlighting people and uplifting people that are doing great things out there and introducing them to the world, right? Where I'm bringing awareness about human trafficking to people and talking to all these amazing people that are in the fight as well. So I'm super excited, and of course, because I have these two in my community, so I pick their brains and all that to make sure it's great. Because
Basically,
again,
put us to work.
And I gotta say, this is why we do well. This is why, and please, you have to understand, we all come from Lake Charles, and I was the first person in Lake Charles. Taja will attest to this. As soon as she decided to come, I was already I had a plan. I had created a big poster for her about, you're gonna have an Oscar, all this inspirational things. I started giving her meetings with people. Anything I can get her in a fashion show, I'm on her exposure, right? Mike came, Logic. Because for me, that was my responsibility, because I was the first person. But if I had a heart that was jealous, if I had a heart that was envious, I would never do this. Right? And so we don't win that way. And now they're doing great, and they're able to bless me with these skills that they have that I don't have, right? So that's what this thing is about. So I want to make sure I show that. So yeah, but make sure you guys go follow us on the King Connector Show. And we did a really cool production last night where I interviewed Tasha. Taja got on the hot seat over at this lounge that you guys are too young to go to. But it was amazing. But she was just telling us more about the show, about the Oval, and it was really fun. It was really cool. And we're going to do more stuff like that. And Logic, who wasn't here today, we'll get him. It'll probably be back in LA, but we'll get him. Then you'll hear some things what Mike is doing. And as this thing evolves and grow about the progress of what they're telling you, the McGowan Simpson studio, you'll have those kind of things on there as well, okay? So that's it.
Okay, so how do y'all, this is the group, how do y'all handle like haters?
Haters.
That,
Ooh.
like-
Let Taja go first, please.
Yes,
Yeah,
please
go ahead.
first.
So here's what I've learned. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality.
Yes. Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
Y'all can
I learned someone's opinion does not become your reality. So if someone is bullying you or haters or calling you names, that's what I had to go through when I was younger. The reason it affected me is because I believed it.
Right.
Wow.
Because it hit home, it hit a nerve, it hit something.
Yeah.
But if you don't believe that negative thing about yourself and what they're saying about you, then they don't have the power. Confidence is attractive. In everything that you do, and who you are, how you look, how you dress, your hair, whatever makes you feel confident in your work, the skill set you have, confidence is attractive. So when haters are coming at me and saying different things, because I have to deal with that even now in the industry, it doesn't bother me.
Right.
Because your words is nothing that I believe about myself.
Right.
Like you have to know that you're great. You got to believe in yourself.
Awesome.
For any and everything that you want to do, it's a mindset.
Awesome.
It's a mindset. It's a mindset shift. So my motto is the dream is real, and there is nothing that anyone could ever say or do to get me off of the vein of my dream will be reality.
Yep.
So I have a different take on it. Okay, here's the thing about haters. As a director, I want everybody to see my stuff.
Yeah.
So when somebody come up to me or I hear somebody hated on something that I'm doing, I'm like, oh, so they saw it. And they're like,
All right.
yeah, they had to see it if they're hating on it. I'm like, okay, cool. That's all I needed. There you go.
All right.
So if somebody's hating on you, just remember that they paying attention to you. And
All right.
no one in this world wants to walk around this world and nobody see them, right?
All right.
So if people are saying stuff about you and then mention your name in a good way or a bad way, just be happy that they're talking about you. And then use that power for yourself. So there's no such thing as a hater, you know. It's just people who are following you around and looking at everything you're doing. So bring on the haters. That's how I look at it.
Okay.
Yes. So mine is, again, you know, like Taja was saying, you know, you really just got to know yourself. Like, you don't ever let anybody tell you who you are. That's the main thing. None of us are perfect. None of us on this stage is perfect. Nobody in this room is perfect, and nobody gonna ever be perfect, okay? That's the first thing. We all have flaws, but we also have, I don't walk in my flaws. I know I have them. I know the things that I'm weak at, but I don't focus. That's not how I live my life. I live my life in what I'm good at and what I'm strong at, and I will step up and be confident in when I have opportunity of those, and when I'm not great there, I back up. Okay, maybe that's the best person for you right there. You don't want me doing it, and I'll say it because I'll mess this up. I'll jack because I know who I am. But I tell you, haters, I love them.
Awesome.
I'm going to tell you right now, I do, because that means you're doing something
Right.
worthwhile. You're doing something. And honestly, I like to know who my haters are because I don't want you in my circle because you're not a part of my tribe. Because the people that I roll with, they're not haters. We celebrate each other.
Support.
And that's why you move forward. So you want to know who your haters are so you can stay away from them. I'm not going to lose sleep about a hater. I'm not going to think about a hater. I just need to know who you are. Okay. And I'll still speak to you. And then I'm in front of you. I'm going to make sure I'm happy, even happier. I'm going to make sure that I look even better. I'm be like, hey, how's it going today? And keep it moving, right? And that success is the best way to handle a hater, is do well in life. That's the best way.
All right. Okay, so, well, thank you guys for coming, and on behalf of the television production program at College Street Vocational Center and LaGrange Performing Arts, all of the teens looking for positive role models, we want to say thank you for sharing your time, your talents, and your inspirations to make this community an even better place.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And can we give it up for Jasmine? This
Yes,
woman is
great
in high
host.
school.
Give it up for
She's
her.
doing
Great.
so well, so professional, so well poised, and I'm just so ecstatic to see that. Thank you.
Thank you.